Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for the 21st of June, 2016. Happy Tuesday afternoon to you. Let's take a look at what's going on out there. Looking at the map, no tropical cyclone activity expected in the next 48 hours, and the same holds true for the next 5 days. And that's typical for June, usually not a very busy month, and that will indeed be the case as we move through the next few days. Here we have the remnants of Danielle, moved in over eastern Mexico yesterday and last night. Now just a faded memory and some fading showers and thunderstorms across that region. Out here in the open Atlantic, you can see this very dry, but it's there, tropical wave. A little bit of broad turning in the atmosphere. It's a wave of low pressure in the easterly trade winds. You can see it kind of pulling on the intertropical convergence zone just a little bit. But the dry sinking air out here, plus the MJO not helping out, and in fact it's in a phase that is simply not favorable for Atlantic development. But nevertheless, we have that tropical wave there. Another one looks like it's moving across here, and maybe another one in here. None of them are blossoming at the moment, so that's good news. So when might something happen? Well, let's take a look at the precipitable water, what we call the TPW, or total precipitable water. This is a great tool. Comes from the Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies at the University of Wisconsin. And you can see all these different features in here, these waves of energy going through the atmosphere in the tropics and in the subtropics and up in the northern latitudes too. But we're interested in what's going on in the tropics. And first of all, this is a 72-hour animation, and you can see there's the energy that became Danielle, and now it's inland over Mexico. Here's a tropical wave here. There's the other one that I was talking about, and I did have those correct. That's good. And then here's a really large one, a large amplitude tropical wave that came off Africa. As you can clearly see, it's marching across. So all of these are sitting out there. This is kind of like an X-ray. It's not, but that's the way I like to look at it. You know, if you don't see them on the visible satellite picture too easily, then you switch over to this and you can clearly see them. And they're out there, and some of them may have a chance, more likely in the eastern Pacific later down the road. The GFS has been trying to develop something, especially in this region, run after run after run, as it sees this, what the GFS and its ensemble members are showing. The Madden-Julian oscillation currently in phases 4 and maybe into 5 a little bit, favoring the maritime continent region. And that just means that the upward motion is focused over in that part of the globe right now at the 200 millibar level. The air is divergent aloft instead of convergent or sinking, and because that's what it's doing over the Atlantic right now, a lot of sinking air. But the GFS suggesting that this is going to head over through what we call the null zone here, the circle of nothing, and then into phases 8 and 1, which favors the Western Hemisphere. So we'll have to see if that comes to pass. The Euro says, well, maybe eventually, and some of this ensemble members just stretching into phases 8 and 1 there. The overall envelope of the ensemble group, trying, but it's not as aggressive as what I'm getting at. And we can compare and contrast those again real quick. There's the GFS, there's the Euro, similar solutions, but the GFS obviously a little bit more aggressive, and you can see that represented with colors, if that helps. This is the tropics, and this is the current analysis, and general sinking motion right now over the Western Hemisphere, and then the rising motion here over the maritime continent region. 5 days out, still sinking, and just nothing happening in the Atlantic basin. And then this energy, this upward motion, tries to start moving its way from west to east here across the tropics, so that by the time we get to days 10 and 15, especially 2 weeks out, more favorable in the Western Hemisphere, quite favorable, at least on this particular version, this particular run, showing pretty good upward motion in the Eastern Pacific. And when is this? This is way out to about the 6th of July or something like that. That's a long time to go with no development in the Pacific. And if we go back and look at the first web link I had here, look at the East and North Pacific. No tropical cyclones over the next 5 days. So if this comes to pass, this is 15 days out and then maybe this upward motion would spawn something in the eastern Pacific. It's been a long time since they've had anything out that way. Dr. Phil Klotzbach frequently tweeting about it, if you follow him on Twitter, about the drought of hurricanes and typhoons in the North Pacific. It's just uncanny, especially considering last year and how busy and intense things were. So there you have it. Nothing to worry about right now, and it looks to stay that way for the foreseeable future. Again, nothing unusual about that this time of the hurricane season. All right? Well, that's it from me for today. Have a great rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Thanks, as always, for your attention, for tuning in and whatnot. And I think that's about it. I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.